What's up, everybody? This is Jeff Gamble, Indianapolis, Indiana, and this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And today we're going over law number 13, the law of picture. This is actually the second law that John changed in the new upgraded version of the 21 laws or 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Amazing, amazing training, and we're going to get into this here in a second. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
So as Jeff said, this is pretty amazing training because John Maxwell says that everything rises and falls with leadership, or rises and falls on leadership. So that's real powerful. That is why we wanted to bring you, or why we are bringing you these lunchtime shows. And we invite you to join us on our Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, to request to be a member there and get a free book and replays and notices and community support. We are Bess McCarty of MLM Millionaire Club, also Shrink of MLM, and Jeffrey David Gamble of My Leadership Network, also a certified John Maxwell trainer. We love partnering to bring you these generic trainings live every weekday, noon Eastern time. If you're watching the replay, we'd love if you type in replay. Also love to hear where you're from. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, empower, and equip entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. So people who watch these shows, they really love grabbing a pen and paper. You'll be glad you did, because there's going to be an avalanche of material coming through. And as we want to help raise the bar in this profession, as Jeff said, today is law number 13, the law of the picture. So welcome, everybody. We have Christy, Lucy, everyone is coming on. Thank you. My business is just exploding. Oh, good, Lucy. Okay, I'll turn it over to Jeff now. I'll be quiet.
No, that's great. It's good to see Lucy's business is taking off. Amy's with us. Christy's with us. Hope everybody's doing well. It's Friday. We're about to have a good time. Great weekend. And the weekend is where you can get so much done because you obviously can get a hold of everybody. So this law, like I was saying, is one of the laws that John actually changed. He said the reason being is over the decade since the 21 laws had come out, since it became a bestseller, since it became, across the world. It says it takes a leader to know a leader, to show a leader, and to grow a leader. So this is the law of the picture. Learning the law of the picture is pretty simple. It's that people do what people see. People do what people see. So he said, the management idea of barking out a bunch of orders, then going and doing something else, he's like, it's not going to fly when it comes to actual leadership. So this is where you're going to mentor somebody and they're actually able to see what you're doing and you're going out and doing it and asking them to do the same thing. I was always impressed with some of the leadership that I worked with, because when they asked me to do something, I was able to catch them doing what they asked me to do. I was able to catch them using the phrases, the words. I was able to watch them build using the techniques that they were telling me. I've also seen horrible examples where a leader will tell somebody to do something, then they will go do something completely opposite of what they're talking about on stage. Well, the only thing I do is I hand out these CDs, DVDs, magazines, and then I find them making lead calls. They'll tell the team or the group that all they ever done is walk into stores and, talk to people. And I've hung out with them for hours and hours on end, and they've never talked to a single person, so I think it's, it's incongruent. Therefore, who was the easier person to follow? The easier person to follow was the one who was actually doing what they said they were doing. People do what people see. It takes a leader to raise up a leader. So the easiest person to follow is somebody who says they're going to do something, does it, and is teaching you by example. Being right next to a person. And happy birthday to Lucy. It's Lucy's birthday today, so give a shout out to her. Follow. So followers can't do it, and neither can institutional programs. Meaning you can't learn it all in a book. Here's how to lead book. Well, it helps a lot when you're actually out physically watching what this person does. And here's the thing, you might be able to pick up the phrase, and this is really important. You might be able to pick up the words, but can you pick up the tonality? Can you pick up the speed at which somebody does this? It's one thing to learn the words, but understand when it comes to communication, about 65% of communication has nothing to do with the words. So one of the most important things is belief and posture. Belief and posture actually have more to do with than the words, because I can actually tell somebody not to get in something like this, but mean to get in something like this. But if you watch somebody say it, it has a lot to do with the body language of the eye contact, you know, the tonality, the speed at which you're actually delivering the information is going to have a lot to do with the outcome. I could be like, you know, you're not one of these people who are just going to jump into this, are you? And that, you know, they might be like, what do you mean? Well, it has a lot to do with the tonality, how you're doing something. So hanging out with a leader, hearing actually how they're presenting, the tonality they have, the speed at which they're doing something, the confidence in which they do something has a lot to do with moving forward. And them actually getting started and getting in. Bob King's with us. What's happening, sir? Sorry, I was just hitting a wave to a friend. The potential of an organization depends a lot upon the growth of the leader. So if the leader's talking about growing, talking about learning something, talking about personal development, and they're not learning something, they're just buying the books. I was like that for years, by the way. It's very hard to get a following. But it's funny, when you are growing and the information comes out, you know, it's very easy to output what you input, would be the easiest way to say it. If there's nothing good coming in, you'll usually find that there's nothing good going out, you know, or you're rehashing the same information over and over again. Hey, let me tell you this new thing. Let me tell you the new connection. Let me show you what I've learned recently. You can pick up on that really quickly from a leader who's growing. So living the law of picture. Followers are always watching. Followers are always watching. You know, the people who you want to recruit are probably already in contact, already watching what you're doing. 2, it's easier to teach than it is to physically do it. I'll admit that. It's easier to get on here and talk about it than stop and then later go out and do presentations. I was doing presentations yesterday. I was like, wow, it was so much easier to get on the live and actually talk about this than it was to actually physically go out and do it, because it takes a different level of concentration. It takes a different level of focus. The easiest way is these are the like-minded people who are on the show. These are the people who already get it. These are the people who are already involved. These are the people who are already excited. But when you're out in the field, you're trying to take people from not knowing to knowing to actually getting in and getting started. That's much more difficult because they don't have the same excitement level. They don't have the same energy level. They might not have the same belief about the industry and about what we're doing as obviously the people on here do. So it's easier to hang out with a group that's already a fan. 3, when change becomes necessary, it usually starts with you. You know, hey, we need to really get this group going. Well, guess who the person is that's the catalyst? You know, guess who the wick is to the dynamite? You are. You have to light the fire first. And, you know, I heard a long time ago, they said, if you want to, people will come from miles to watch you burn. But if you're just talking about starting a fire, you'll have nobody at the campsite. You know, once it's lit, it's easy to attract people. Once it's lit, once you're in, the lit part is you actually physically out doing the work. Once it's lit, people will come for miles to watch you burn. You know, I can't remember how many people would, you know, out of the blue show up to our events and be like, yeah, we heard about what you were doing. They'd be on other teams and other organizations. And, you know, they're like, you know, we heard that you guys have a meeting that has like close to 100 people. How in the, you know, you didn't even have a meeting a year ago. How did that happen? Well, it happened because we were out doing the work. But people will come. People will come. It's amazing. The greatest gift a leader can give is being a good example. The greatest warning you can give is being an example of what not to do. You know, that's not good either. That's why they say, you know, that's why he says in his first lesson of living the law of picture is people are always watching. It's something you have to remember. So, you know, your prospects are watching you, but also your team is watching you. So the faster, watch this, the faster you get started, the more momentum you build in the beginning, the easier, watch this, the easier it is. The easier it is, the more movement, the more momentum, the more actual contacts, the more presentations. I kind of made this analogy yesterday. Yes, this is about big numbers, but this business is built person to person. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Bess to get her insight on the law of picture.
So thank you, Jeff. I'd like to also say hi to Alan, Vicky, Roy, and Christy. Thank you for your words. She says she always gets so much out of it, and Yeah, Lucy, thanks for spending your birthday party with us. We'll make this your birthday party here. Um, uh, yes, it takes a leader to raise a leader. People do what you see. And so therefore we need to lead with action. How many people have heard as a kid, perhaps from a parent, do what I say, not what I do? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't compute, does it? Or how many people have gone to a doctor that said, you need to stop smoking or you need to lose weight, where that doctor smoked or was overweight? So it's not very inspirational, not very motivational. I love my chiropractor. He's real fit and flexible and loves working. He strengthens and stretches his body and he makes it work. And he loves the body, loves making it functional for people. And so when he tells me to do my stretches and my strengthenings, I know that he walks his talk. So I feel like I have that momentum, like I mentioned yesterday about the goose team. You know, if you're around people that are like you are striving to be, it's easier because you feel that momentum, that updraft that they have. And that's what you can provide for your team, that example. If you have 10 customers and 10 frontline recruits, your team will assume that that's what you do, right? So they'll copy that. And they'll mostly, as you said, Jeff, that it's more how you say it than what you say it. I gave a talk one time and I remember somebody came up afterward and they said, I don't remember anything you said, but I loved it. In other words, they got it beyond some mental level, some intellectual level, and they got the inspiration or the message that they needed to hear. So we want to communicate that vision because the vision, is composed of three things: the mission, vision, and strategy. The mission provides the purpose and the why. I learned this from Jeff. And the vision provides the picture and the what, and the strategy provides the plan and the how. So we need to have these three things within us so that they can exude from us and be copied. And it's not what we say, but what we show by action, by example, creates in the team the belief, the energy, the passion, and the motivation. So the mission provides the why, the vision, the what, and the strategy, the how. So we need all three to be a role model for all three. And back to Jeff here.
Awesome. And Lisa just jumped on, Lisa Garcia. And Lisa and Jesse are actually really good at doing this and actually teaching this, simply because one of the things that they do, and I remember Jesse talking about this in the very beginning when Lisa became a real estate agent, he's like, what are all the activities that actually happen in real estate? So although this is a real estate example, it's really good. If you wrote down the activities that actually have to happen in direct sales, you can do the exact same thing. But what they did is, like, rather than just showing the result, hey, I got somebody in, they go out and show the activity. Hey, we have in real estate, there's different things you can do. You know, you have, you know, you're going out and showing a house. You're going out and making an offer. You're going out and doing an inspection. You're going out and doing a post or pre-inspection prior to closing. You're getting appraisal on the house. You're getting the inspection report back and, you know, solving all the issues. You're putting in a counter offer. There's many levels, many different levels of activity. And what they have ability to do is they have the ability to put out that information consistently of here's where we're at in a transaction. We're going out again to show houses. We're going out again to list a house. You know, here we are at the listing. Here we are filling out the paperwork. It might seem crazy, but it's constantly seeing that activity of doing the right activity that actually inspires others and actually attracts people. I know recently they won an award, I believe, in the Milwaukee area for, you know, best social media presence. At least I think that's what the award was for, best social media presence or best use of social media, simply because they were putting out the activity. You know, if you wrote down the same thing inside of direct sales and we're like, okay, what is the activity that needs to happen inside of direct sales to make sure that I'm letting everybody know that I'm doing the right activity? What are the activities that we do? You know, this is the law of a picture, being able to show people, here are the activities that are happening. Here's what we're doing. You know, hey, I have my list of people to talk to today. Here's basically me making calls, you know, could you take a picture? Here's me making calls, making the, you know, the presentation. Here's me shipping out a product to somebody if you're demoing product. Here's me, you know, sending out product. you know, here's me doing my follow-ups. And then at the end of the day, doing inventory, you know, here's what we did, here's what got done, here's what we're doing tomorrow. You know, here's the list. I already have my follow-ups ready. I already have my new prospects that I'm supposed to talk to ready. I already, you know, today I was able to meet these 3 people or collect these 3 business cards. What are the activities that you need to be doing? And then sharing those activities. Here's what we're out doing, because it's actually the physical doing that, you know, people see that it's happening. You're able to create momentum with. Now, be careful about this. And I say be careful about this one thing is make sure what you're doing is the right things, and make sure what you're doing is attractive. It's attractive, because remember, part of what we do is it's an attraction business. It's a people business, but it's an attraction business. I got great insight from Grant Cardone last night when I was listening to him and Eric Worre. And one of the things he said really stood out to me, and it was one of the reasons why I was able to recruit a lot of people. He said it's really not the product. It's really not it's really not the product. It's really not the comp plan itself. It's really not the system you have itself, but it's really the people. He's like, if you were in insurance, you would be crazy not to be involved in network marketing. The reason being is because of the people. He's like, it's an instant network. He said, do you realize there are people who go to horrible places to basically get that connection and make friends and be able to sell? You know, some people go to bars, some people go to clubs, some people go to, you know, horrible places, horrible events. So that way they can just get around a big group of people. He goes, here you are, you're able to sign up in network marketing for $100, $200. He goes, it's the easiest association in the world to be around like-minded people that instantly let you into the group, instantly become your friend. He's like, everybody in that room, what? Has everybody in the room inside of direct sales and network marketing might need insurance, might buy a car, might buy a house at some point, know somebody that's going to buy a house. He goes, if you're in sales, period, you should be involved in some sort of direct selling business, simply because, not because of the product. He's like, the products are good, everything's great, but what's really good is the network of people. So that's what you want to be doing, is you want to be evaluating the network, which is why I've always put a lot of emphasis whenever we build any type of organization. You want to put a lot of emphasis on, what do these people look like coming inside of the room? You know, what is your professional standard of dress and etiquette inside the room? Because if you bring in a salesperson that's trying to make those kind of connections and everybody looks horrible, looks like they just came off the street, looks like they just came out of a construction site, you know, doesn't have a professional presence, doesn't have, you know, professional etiquette, what ends up happening is that transpires, you know, not being able to attract people. Not being able to attract people. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to attract people. We want people in our business working with us that have similar goals. So what you want to do is you just want to raise your standard. But the picture of what you look like has a lot to do with the picture of what others look like. You know, that's just how it works. So that's how you want to attract people. I learned early on, you know, certain things about how to dress and how to present yourself inside of an event to be able to attract more people. So it's really the people you're around. Here's another thing. If it's the people you're around, who can you introduce people to? Who can you introduce people to? You know, part of it, it's not name dropping. I have a lot of people who name drop. Well, I can get you in front of this multi-million-dollar earner. How does that help the person that you're sitting with? Just because they're a multi-million, here's the thing, if you don't have any multi-million-dollar friends, or that person doesn't have any multi-million-dollar friends, that could be intimidating. What if that person grew up with a mindset that all rich people rip people off? Because there are certain people out there that have that mindset. Well, all rich people do is they're just going to rip me off. They're just going to, you know, they're just going to try to take from me. That's not necessarily a great sale to that person. So what you want to do is you want to find out what their strengths and what their weaknesses are, who this person is, and who can you introduce them to. Last night, I was able to get 2 numbers while inside this one restaurant. We went to this restaurant, and the guy behind the counter, and here's, you know, another important tip. People do what people see. I got there, and it, you know, it looked like everybody had left, because this is a 24-hour place. Everybody had really left. The rush was over. But the guy behind the counter that has actually served us several times, he's like, I can't even get to you. He's like, I totally apologize. I can't get to you right now. He's like, you know, sit here, hang out for a minute. You know, we'll get to you eventually. I was like, okay, cool. So we know this guy, and I knew his personality. You could just tell he was wiped out. He finally came over to the table, and I was like, so what's going on? And I was like, are you guys in a rush? He's like, no, man, we got, you know, beat up again. We're short staffed. We had people come in from different stores because people didn't show up, and we have people who call in all the time. He's like, I've been sick. I shouldn't even be here. And I'm like, what do you mean? First of all, you're cooking, so that's kind of a problem. I wanted to get exactly what's going on. He's like, well, all the years of smoking kind of caught up to me. He's like, I had surgery early this week. And I said, so you mean you're not supposed to be here at work? He's like, exactly. And I was like, are you okay now? He's like, yeah. He's like, all the smoking and everything kind of caught up to me. And, the big C word, finally caught me. But they got whatever it was. So hopefully I'm okay. But I'm not actually supposed to be here even at work. But they called me in because of this. And I was like, wow. Well, before we got out of there, I said, you're a sharp guy. Why are you putting up with this? And he's like, it has a lot to do with connections. I was looking for something that I could do because I have 3 kids and, relationship didn't work out. So I'm raising my 3 kids during the day, making sure that I'm up in the morning to be able to get them to school, that I'm able to be there when they get off the bus, that I'm there until they sleep. And then actually my sister comes over and sleeps at the house and watches them while I'm out. I was just like, wow. I was like, are you open to doing something else? And funny enough, the next waitress actually came in and we were able to get both of their information before we left, the other lady. Now, another guy, because of probably how we're talking to them, introduces himself and he's like, I know I've seen you before. And I'm like, America's Most Wanted. And he starts laughing. And I said, he's like, well, I can tell you're at the gym. And I said, oh, do you have a gym membership? He goes, well, I belong to this particular gym. He's like, but I haven't been there in a decade. And I was like, well, maybe it was that long ago that we know each other. We've actually been in and out of a lot of restaurants late at night. So he's like, oh, I'm always here late at night. I was like, that's probably the connection. So people do what people see, but it's also who you're picking up and who you're connecting with, being able to walk out. Just because we're in the mix talking to people, we're showing people how it works. In the times that I've been out and I do that, people are like, well, that was so easy. It was easy because my objective was really about people, really finding out who it is, really figuring out who I can connect. When I figured out that he was overworked, when I figured out that he was stressed, but he was good at what he did, I wanted to introduce him to somebody else to be able to, really get him out of there. Therefore, he's open. He's like, I said, before we leave, make sure I get your number. Oh, okay. Well, when we got up to pay our bill, he stopped what he was doing, walked over, took out a piece of paper, wrote everything down. He's like, here's my name. It was Nathan. Here's my number. Can we talk tomorrow? Can I call you tomorrow afternoon? Yeah. Now, here's the funny thing. I didn't have to ask him for his number again. The reason being is every time we go there, there was a night he was completely slammed. And I said, look, I can tell you're completely slammed. Go finish what you're doing. And come to us when you're done. I'm like, we're okay. We'll wait a minute, whatever you need to do. And he didn't even know what to say because obviously people are usually so rude and so demanding. Well, I walked in and this is my time and I'm here to eat. So you better do what I say. People start treating people like servants. And I'm like, remember, this is the person who's making your food. You piss that person off. I just have a lot of people who work in the restaurant industry, in the kitchen industry. If I go out with you once and you're rude to people, I will never eat with you again. People don't actually know that. That's the first time I've publicly said that. But there's a group of people that I know, I will never eat with them again. They were so rude and inconsiderate to the people we were around. Every time, and this is a person who calls me often, hey, can you get together? I'm like, no, I'm always busy. I'm always busy doing something. I will never eat around somebody who's rude to staff. First of all, because you shouldn't be rude to people. But second of all, these are the people who are making your food. I can only imagine they're doing this multiple times at the same restaurants, what these people end up doing to their food when people aren't. And you're not supposed to be doing that, but I'm just saying it probably happens. So kind of getting back to the story, I go out with people because we affect people in a certain way. He got done in this one story. He got done. He came back over to us and he's like, I'm like, man, you look wiped out. And he actually grabbed a chair and actually sat down for a minute. I was like, you can rest. I said, so how long? And this was kind of the first time we had met him. And I said, you look pretty burnt out. What happened? He's like, we were short-staffed. This was like many times ago. We were short-staffed. This didn't happen. This didn't happen. And before we left, the bill was maybe $11. And this is a place that's like a burger place, in and out real quick. We left 20. And he's like, hey, wait. I need to get you your change. And I'm like, no, it's cool. I said, you took care of us. Everything's good. He just kind of was like, wow, okay. Well, I hope to see you again. Because we took the time to talk to him, because of how we treated him. That's why we've come in before and he stopped what he was doing with everything else, cleaned off a table and came to us. You know, it's amazing the different level of service. And funny enough, when he was busy last night and the other lady came in, the other waitress came in, I watched him walk over and he's like, I think I know what they want, but you better go take care of them. So it's about how you're affecting people. The picture you're putting out there has a lot to do with what comes back. I've actually watched people at restaurants, and this comes back to direct sales. I've actually watched people at restaurants be rude, be inconsiderate, not tip, and then turn around and try to contact this person. I'm like, you couldn't have set up a worse pattern. You know, think about what this person's picturing in their head. They're rude, they're inconsiderate, they're cheap, and now they want me to be in business with them. I'm like, you don't have a chance in hell of sponsoring this person. If the owner of the company walked in and was going to give this person a spot above you, they probably wouldn't want to be in just because they don't want to associate with you. So think about how you're being pictured when you're out doing things. That's what we're talking about today. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Bess and get some more insights on the law of picture.
Wow, what a great demonstration of the law of the picture from your example last night. And having worked in restaurants in all capacities, cook, busboy, waitress in my 20s, I can tell you that there can be a lot of stress, and even more nowadays because speed. And you know, when I was a waitress, it was enjoyable and it was about quality of service, making a good dining experience for the person. Now it's that, but even more so about speed. So there's a lot of pressure. And like Jeff said, people come in and they take out their stress here, or they think this is the time when they need everything to be perfect because life is so tough elsewhere. So they'll be tough on the people. And I know that servers in restaurants generally have nightmares at night about being in the weeds, or being, you know, having a rush, not having enough people, and people yelling at them and getting unhappy, and things aren't happening real fast and all this stuff. So these are people to not only bring your compassion and understanding to, but also to help them see if they, you know, help them see there could be another option for them in their life. I do love talking to people wherever I go about network marketing. Even though I'm not in a company, I refer them to my my article about how to choose a company, and they can, you know, I tell them that I provide the training for people to be a success in this. So I do love prospecting and telling people about network marketing too. Now, talk about numbers. First of all, I want to say hi to Adrian, Joe, and Tina. Welcome, you guys. So glad you're here. And also, if you've been getting value, we love if you hit like, share, leave a comment about the value that you're getting. Some of you are sharing with groups that you're in and sharing the live even as we're speaking now. So we really appreciate that, because people have been getting great feedback about that. People appreciate you for doing that. We'll take questions in a minute. So if you have a question, insight, takeaway, advice, please type that in about this topic, about, you know, being a role model, about leadership, about network marketing. Love if you type that in so that we can make this interactive. Talk about results. Jeff has personally recruited over 500 people frontline. But like he has mentioned many times, I really enjoy that he says activity even counts more than the results. I love that because the results may come down the line, right? It's like planting a seed in the ground. You plant a lot of seeds. Well, some of those may grow next year, or in 5 years or 10 years. You never know. Like Al Schreider said, how much money did you make? I don't know. I haven't stopped. It hasn't stopped. It's still coming in, something like that. So it's the same with our seeds. We plant these seeds, like the seed sower parable that Jim Rohn talks about. You keep planting the seeds. A certain percent will come up. Some will fall to the birds as food. Some will fall on rocks and barren ground. Some not get enough water. But a certain percent will come up. And we don't know always when, right? So that may be in the future. That's why I love focusing too on the activity more than the results. And Jeff, when you were speaking, since we're talking about the law of picture, I just got this image when you said, show your results, you know, and we know that the greatest activity is presentations, right? The greatest money-making activity that you can do, even though personal growth is great and everything, and planning is great, but the greatest activity you can do is to present. what you have. And we teach people how to do that, by the way, on our Sunday night classes that Jeff and I teach. I'll post a link to those. They're very, very good. So we call it the key performance indicators. You keep track of how many presentations you do a day. It's probably not as many as you think you're doing, but that will generate the income. And I got this vision, you know, since we're talking about picture and letting people know what you do, how about have someone take a picture of you making your calls, a picture of you at your desk among all your papers that you're sorting out, a phone picture of your list of people that you have contacted, that you've presented to today or this week. Take a phone picture of that, post that on social media or post it for your team. Yeah, especially if you have a Facebook group for your team. Let your team know what you're doing, this picture of activity, because then they see that and then they know what to do, right? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So they see you on the phone, they see your list of people that you've presented to today or this week, and then they see what they must then replicate, like a duplication machine, like a Xerox machine, like a copier machine. That's what we really are. So to apply this law of the picture, look and see, do a character audit for yourself. Look and see, do your actions match your values and your vision and your talk? Ask a trusted person close to you, where is there inconsistency between what I teach and what I do? And then write down 3 to 5 things that you wish people would do better and rate yourself on these. Then set out to improve and set a visible example of the positive of these. And I'll turn this back over to Jeff.
So guys, with that, you know, you just want to kind of do a self-evaluation. You know, we're talking about the law of picture, and I just read, you know, a study that said if you look in the mirror, your brain automatically picks out what's wrong, and you're actually going to make yourself 5 times less attractive in your brain by looking in the mirror every day. So that's not the kind of picture that we're talking about. We're talking about a picture of what you're physically out doing, how you're treating people, what's going on. And these were just lessons that were kind of hard to learn because I grew up in an environment where, you know, we constantly, what we did was point out what was wrong, you know, what people didn't do. And because of that, that's what I was doing inside of my own business. That was not attractive. That was not the right picture to be giving out. So you just want to sit down and think about, you know, avatar wise, who would you want to attract? Who would you want on your team? And then become that person. So that way you have the ability to track them and put out the right picture. Consistently putting out the right picture. You want to be that example of, in the room, who can you help? And this is hard because sometimes a lot of, you know, our personal, you know, experiences of what's going on, we could be stressed, we could be sick, you know, being able to be like this all the time in our good times and our bad times, it's difficult to do all the time, but once you start getting it down, it's amazing how much it affects what you're doing. So with that, I just want to say, you know, have a great weekend. I hope you're getting a lot out of this. If you are, you know, please like, please share, please comment, please send this to somebody who needs it. You know, this particular lesson or anything that we're doing inside of the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And again, we have a Facebook page called the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. If you haven't joined that already and you're watching the replay, please jump on that with us, jump into that group. We'll be able to, you know, talk to you directly there. We just ask that, you know, you keep it generic, without companies, without names, without specifics, and it pertains to leadership. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to turn this over to Bess for any closing thoughts, and we'll wrap it up.
Yes, one of the ways to have a great weekend is we invite you, since this is Friday, I'm going to invite you to join us on Sunday for our Quick Start Basics for Network Marketers. This is like all the basic skills and all the important stuff you need to move fast and to help your team move fast, including we teach that favor script. Hey, can I ask you a favor? I want to let you know what I'm doing in case you run across the right person. You can refer them to me. That's magical and really special and always gets a yes for a whole bunch of different reasons I won't go into right now, but it's a magical script. It's a magical invite script, the best one that I've heard to build your business fast and help your new recruit to. And then we teach how to do a 10-minute presentation after that. Rather than send them to a video right away, do a 10-minute presentation. And we teach all the other 7 skills that Eric Worre mentions and the 10 core commitments that are essential and proven over decades to create success for network marketers. So that's what we do on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. And I'll put a link to that class. And a number of the people here actually are in the class. We'd love to, if this class is benefiting you, if you're here and that class is benefiting you, I'd love if you type yes or write how it's benefiting you. Also love if you type in any questions. This is your last call for questions or comments. Want to welcome Cindy. Our next leadership class is Monday, and that is the law of the buy-in, because people buy first, they buy into the leader, then the vision. So they buy into you, as we've said in many different ways in this class. Back to Jeff.
All right, guys. So with that, we're going to move on with what we got for the rest of today. You know, go out, contact, present, get some results, bring on some new people, bring on some new team members. We appreciate everybody on here. Sean just jumped on. How's it going, sir? We went over the law of picture today. We're going over the law of buy-in on Monday. Every single day, Monday through Friday, we're actually sharing John C. Maxwell's 21 Laws of Leadership and how it applies inside of MLM, inside of network marketing, inside of direct sales, and how you can use this to help build your business. So we appreciate everybody for jumping on. We'll talk to everybody real soon and hopefully see you on Sunday. Thank you so much.